Taiwan is bursting with heaps of fun places to explore. Join me, Amber Hatfield, as I hit up travel hotspots, soak up some culture, and hunt down hidden gems. Let's go! Hi, welcome back to Let's Go with me, your host, Amber Hatfield. This week we are talking to Andre Carillo, a travel content creator from the US who has been living in Taiwan. If you haven't heard last week's episode, go and check that out first, and let's get into it. Let's talk a little bit about the trip that you just went on to Penghu.
Oh, yes.
Can you talk a little bit about Penghu and what you enjoy about it, and maybe a little bit about the fireworks festival?
Okay, yeah, for sure. That was actually my second time in Penghu. And this last trip was actually not planned. Me and my friends were originally planning on going to Matsu.
Okay.
But then because of the weather, that flight got canceled. But we were all packed already and had the time off. So we were literally at the airport counter. Are there flights to anywhere else? Like today? And they're like, 6 o'clock. We have like availability to Penghu. And so we're like, sure, let's go to Penghu. Yeah, that was the most spontaneous I've ever been. It turned out really fun. I mean, it was still quite rainy there as well, but we were lucky with a few sunny days.
Mm-hmm.
But Penghu to me is very, if you love like water type activities like swimming, snorkeling, even diving, jet skiing even, Penghu is like perfect for that.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, of course it's prettier on a sunnier day.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, it was kind of rainy while we were, swimming in the ocean. We're already wet before we go inside. But either way, I feel like for a place that you want like summer vacation vibes, Penghu is definitely like that place.
Yeah.
Especially with the firework festival. That was my first time, because the first time I went was just right after the firework festival ended. But this time I was like, oh, great. It all turned out well. We didn't end up going to Matsu, but there's like this festival in Penghu. And it's kind of funny because it's also like a drone show.
Okay.
Like in the beginning, like the first 15 minutes or whatever, they have like this drone show. And every year is a different theme, I guess. And this year was One Piece, the anime.
Oh, yeah.
So it was really, really cool, the drone part per se. But then it was kind of funny because during the drones, they weren't shooting a lot of like fireworks. It was very like one only. I'm like, oh, is that it? Like I've seen pictures. I'm sure there's more. And then it was like awkward because there was like a very, very brief intermission that made me believe, oh, was that the end of the show? Like, not that the drones were boring, but I wanted more fireworks. And then literally like right after, like thinking that, it was like so great. Honestly, I feel like the fireworks were when they started, they're way better than the fireworks at Taipei 101 during the New Year.
Okay.
Like, it's so grand, and like because it's on the water as well. And there's just so much open space. Like there's nothing in the background like kind of obstructing the views or like kind of, yeah, it's just like, I don't know, like in the ocean on this island, and it's like it really just feels like summer vibes. It also kind of reminds me of like Independence Day in the States, because
Okay.
like 4th of July we have like fireworks and stuff like that. So I really felt like, oh my gosh, wow, like it really is summer now.
Yeah.
Because that's like during our summer break in the States.
Okay.
But I definitely feel like it's really worth going to, again, if you really are interested in finding a place in Taiwan that has like super summer vacation-y type of vibes. Also, if you really like fireworks as well, kind of like that festival feeling. Penghu is like really, really great. If you're gonna go, definitely get a scooter license or learn how to ride a scooter, because that would give you the ability to do a lot more. But yeah, it's quite easy to get around if you have like a car or scooter. And it's also just very cute. They have like these old historic villages with like building and architecture from like back then, which just kind of makes you feel like, because you rarely see places like that, I feel like, in Taiwan, unfortunately. And so these like historical villages, I don't know, it just feels like you entered a different country sometimes. Like, oh my gosh, wow.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think when I first went there, I was really surprised by those coral houses.
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
so
they're
cute.
beautiful, yeah.
Yeah.
Really, really
And then
nice.
especially like on a sunny day with like the blue sky background, and then like they have plants. I'm like, wow, it just really is summer island vacation.
Yeah, like different world kind of
Yeah.
from Taipei for sure.
Yeah.
I want to talk a little bit about your content as well,
Okay.
and about whether or not you starting to create travel content has changed your view of Taiwan. What I mean by this is like for myself, when I sometimes take a video of something, or if I maybe bring someone else who has fresh eyes to Taiwan, like a friend, I kind of see it in a new light, and it kind of makes me appreciate things more. I wonder whether or not making travel content for you has this kind of impact or not.
Yeah, actually, I think that's a really great question. Because it kind of, I would say yes, it does kind of, or it has kind of changed my view on Taiwan in a positive light. And it kind of gives me the same feeling like you just mentioned of like introducing a place or showing a place to someone with like fresh eyes per se. Because I've had like friends visit before in the past, and maybe even just like on layovers, and I bring them around Taipei. And to me, since I've been here for so long, I'm like snooze, you know, like, used to it. And then like bringing them, oh, we want to see Ximen, we want to see Taipei 101. I'm like, okay, like I don't even go here, you know. But to them, it's just always like, oh wow, like it's just so cool, so different. And you know, when they say these things, I'm like, oh, I guess actually it is pretty cool, you know. And so I think making content definitely gives me the same feeling when I see like comments as well. People are like, oh my gosh, wow, it looks so nice, it looks so pretty, or like that's so awesome. Because to me, I mean, to be fair, I'm not on Orchid Island every single day, you know. But even then, when you know, because I've been before and stuff like that, and showing them to people as well, kind of, even though I'm not from Taiwan, I'm not from these places, it kind of gives me a sense of pride, I guess is the word, of like, wow, yes, I know this is my Taiwan. You know, when people kind of also like comment and say like, wow, that's so cool, I love it, or like I want to go to these places. And I think as well, I think living it somewhere in general for a really long time, we tend to, not that we don't appreciate it, but we just get so used to it. You know, especially like our own hometowns. I feel like it's very common for people to, the people who hate places the most are people who are from those places, I feel like. Because sometimes I'll make places, like even about like Taiwan, I'll make videos, and then there's Taiwanese people in the comments are like, that's just okay, you know? You know, I've made other content about like Singapore as well, and it's usually mostly like locals that are like, I don't see the charm, you know, I don't get it, like what's the big deal? And I will say the same thing, you know, like if you ask me about like where I grew up, I might kind of be like, oh, I mean, I guess it's kind of nice, you know? But after being gone for so long from California, I'm kind of like, oh yeah, I can see the appeal, you know, like it is really cool, I want to go back. And so I can kind of understand, you know, like I think I've been here for so long, and so now that I'm used to it, and I've been to like pretty much everywhere in Taiwan, I kind of also, again, not that I don't appreciate it, but I'm just like used to it. So I do like really making content, because when I see people like comment or talk about Taiwan in like positive ways as well, or they like message me and say like, well, your content's really inspired me to want to go visit, stuff like that. To me, it just kind of reminds me of like, oh, actually I do live in a really cool place. And there is actually a lot that Taiwan has to offer. And then even sometimes, not to sound so egotistical, but sometimes I watch my old like travel videos. I'm like, wow, I want to go there. Oh wait, I live here. You know, I'm kind of like, wow, that place is so pretty. I wonder where that is. Oh, I've been. Oh, that's my video. You know, so I think it really does help me kind of. It reminds me of like where I live, and like how many people would like love to be and like have the chance to come.
I wanted to ask about your engagement, like with your followers, and whether or not you have any kind of specific comments or interactions that you remember that made you feel like, oh, I feel like I'm doing a great job, or like I want to keep making travel content. I guess you kind of touched on it just now, like people saying like that they want to go to these places. Are there any kind of specific ones that have made you feel really inspired to keep continuing with making it?
I would say that maybe two different types of comments. One, if it's they were inspired to a point where they even want to maybe move here and also like work as well, or even study Mandarin. To me, it's kind of like, wow, because that kind of reminds me of, like I said, I used to watch like all these travel YouTubers growing up, and so I kind of wanted to always be like them per se. And so kind of now being in a position where I'm inspiring people who were like my teenage self to want to do these type of things. Like actually I've met some people in Taiwan, maybe 5 or so people, and they came up to me and talked to me, and they're like, oh, actually I visited because I saw your videos.
Wow.
Or like, oh, I am moving to Taiwan. I moved to Taiwan because like I saw like you were teaching there and stuff like that. Like, so it's really cool to actually finally meet you. And I'm like, oh my gosh, wow, like this is really, I don't know, it feels really nice, you know?
Yeah, I mean, you actually impacted a life. Like,
Yeah.
you potentially changed the course of what they've done in their life.
Yeah, it was
which
really,
is-
really cool. And I think I even 2 years ago, in 2021, I had went back home and then to California, and then I was coming back. And even in the San Francisco airport, there was someone there who was about to get on the same flight with me back to Taiwan, but she was just getting ready to move to Taiwan. And she didn't say that, like, oh, because of you, you know, like, but we met, you know, and she's like, oh my gosh, I've seen like your content. Like, it makes me so excited to go to Taiwan, you know. I'm like, wow, this is so crazy. I'm back home and I met someone who's about to go and they've seen my content and, you know, they really liked it. And again, maybe it wasn't because of me, but just that they even like to meet someone instead of just reading the comments makes me feel like, wow, like I really did have, like you said, like some type of impact on a person's life to them, to a point where they wanted to like come here. So I feel like that's one type of comment that kind of motivates me to keep doing what I'm doing. And then another type is maybe even if it's not Taiwan per se, but it's like, oh, your content inspired me to learn a new language, or it inspired me to move to, even if it's not Taiwan, like I said, like, oh, like because I really wanted to go to Japan, I was so scared about it, but you know, seeing your videos living abroad as a foreigner, you know, really made me want to just try it out, stuff like that. Like to me, again, that just makes me feel like, wow, you know, sometimes I might get frustrated if I focus too much on numbers, you know, like, oh, not that many views, not that many likes, like, I'm doing this all for nothing. I might get too caught up on that sometimes, you know, and might kind of feel discouraged even. But these type of comments or even messages that I get, they might be like very few in comparison to like the other comments that are just saying, wow, it looks really cool. But even then, I feel like that's like enough to make me feel like, oh, what I'm doing is like worth it. You know, I always feel like if at least one person was inspired to want to do something similar, like to me, it feels worth it.
Yeah, definitely. I'd love to know what might be some of your favorite content that you've filmed in Taiwan, or like favorite places you've gone to film and stuff. Like,
I would say Orchid Island, Lanyu, was definitely my favorite. It's just so different from the rest of Taiwan. Like it's really, and not even because it like looks different, but I feel like culturally, you know, because there's like indigenous cultures there that are quite well preserved. And I even stayed at a homestay with that was owned by like indigenous Taiwanese people, and was able to like, you know, talk with them about their stories and stuff like that. And I was able to make content based on like things that I had learned from conversations with them. And so to me, I feel like this is really cool. I'm not even just like saying like this place is pretty, you know, but like being able to introduce as well, like this is what I learned, you know, and I think it's so cool that I want you to know as well if you don't.
Yeah.
So I think I really loved filming videos or content for like Orchid Island as a place. And then I think in terms of like topic or themes, I actually really like making videos about cultural differences, you know, like, oh, like things I'm not used to, or questions I get asked as a foreigner and stuff like that, or things I miss from the US, or this is what I actually think. Because those videos spark a lot of conversation in the comments.
Okay.
And so it's kind of also another way for me, since I love having like conversations with like people with different opinions and stuff like that, I feel like making these type of videos gives me another way to also have those conversations. And they might sometimes be risky, you know, or, you know, sharing opinions sometimes can get people heated if they really, really disagree. As risky as sometimes that type of content can be, I spend a lot of time scripting them in ways that like ensures that fosters healthy conversations, or just conversations in general where people aren't just like fighting each other, but gets people thinking like, oh, I never thought about it in that way, or like I disagree but I respect your opinion. Because again, that's one way that I can just kind of see what people think.
Yeah. Let's talk a little bit about kind of you coming to the end of your journey in Taiwan.
Oh, yes.
So you'll be leaving Taiwan soon. And how do you feel about this? And do you feel like you're going to be missing Taiwan? Like, how do you feel about leaving Taiwan after this amount of time?
Yeah. Well, I'm excited. Not that I hate Taiwan and I want to leave, but I'm excited to go back, of course, to spend time with family after so long. I know, though, for a fact that maybe after even 2 weeks, I will get bored back in California. I live in the Bay Area, San Jose to be specific. And there are a fair amount of things to do there.
Mm-hmm.
But even the times that I had gone back just to visit, my mind sometimes is like, why can't I just walk downstairs for like 7-Eleven?
Yeah.
You know, like I know for a fact I will miss the convenience of entertainment at like your will, you know, literally just at downstairs in Taipei. But yeah, I just originally did not plan to stay this long. Stayed 5 years longer than anticipated.
What can your followers maybe expect in the future? Like, do you think you're going to continue to make travel videos, or do you think you're going to continue with that?
Yeah, I'll definitely continue making travel content. I mean, I filmed so much, not even just in Taiwan, but in a lot of the other Asian countries, or even in Europe. I've traveled so much in the past 6 years. And so, of course, I'll be like repurposing a lot of that footage and finding different ways to make content from the things that I've already filmed. But there'll also be a lot of new things as well. I'm actually excited because right now 50% of my following is based in Taiwan. And I know, I mean, at least for me, I love watching content from like places I'm not there, you know.
Yeah.
And I'm pretty sure a lot of people, I mean, I hope a lot of people will feel excited, you know, to see like content from not even just the States, but now that I'm in the West, you know, I might have the ability to even go back to Latin America for traveling or Canada, you know, just different places. And so I will be making travel content still. I also probably make content like vlogs about like my life in the States or back home. And of course, I'll make a lot of like the cultural conversation type of videos.
Kind of final question I want to ask you, if you were to think about your whole journey here in Taiwan and the life and everything that you've had for these past few years, and if there was kind of something you wanted to say to Taiwan.
I guess I would say thank you, Taiwan. Yeah, I don't know. I feel very appreciative to have had the opportunity to move here. It was, again, not in the way that I had expected or I had planned. But yeah, I think after visiting everywhere, I don't know, I've just somehow gained a deeper appreciation for what Taiwan has to offer as a place. I mean, I'm in my 20s and, you know, we're still growing like in our 20s. And I really feel like we're still, even when we're older, we have core memories per se that really shape who we are. But I think coming here straight after university and meeting so many different types of people, local, international, going to all these different places, and witnessing more of just the world in general, not even in Taiwan, but in Asia. I don't know. I just feel very thankful to have had this opportunity.
I think that's everything we're going to talk about today. So thank you so much for coming in. It's been really great to talk to you.
Yes, thank you so much.
That's all for this week's episode of Let's Go. I really hope you enjoyed my conversation with Andre. I had a really fun time talking to him and learned a lot about content creation, about his favorite places in Taiwan, and it was just great. So I hope you enjoyed it too. And I will see you in next week's episode of Let's Go.